Hi and welcome back to Switch and Lever. In this video we'll go through the process of making a knife handle with a curved micarta inlay. If you want a more detailed version of how to make a knife handle, check out the previous knife making video I made by clicking the link in the video now. First we need to prepare our wood blanks. Since I want two different woods in my knife handle, I'm starting out with a piece of walnut and a piece of oak. Start by gluing them together with a couple of drops of super glue. Don't cover the entire surface though, as you want to be able to break them apart later. Draw out the curve you want your inlay to have directly on the wood and follow the curve with a bandsaw. For tighter curves, a narrower blade is recommended, or you could use a scroll or coping saw as well. Smooth out the cut using sandpaper or a belt sander. Make sure that the two pieces fit together well after the sanding. It doesn't have to be perfect, but a smoother line will make the end product look neater. Snap apart the pieces by hand. If you used a little bit too much super glue, you could also use a chisel to coax them apart. Micarta is really a brand name, but it has become the generic term for composites using epoxy resin with fabric or paper. Instead of making a block of micarta, as is quite common when making full handles or scales, we're going to create the micarta in situ in the knife handle. Start by preparing fabric pieces a little bit bigger than the area you want to put them into. Alternate different colors to build up patterns in your micarta. Mix together a fair amount of epoxy and move fast. I don't recommend building huge stacks of micarta this way unless you're using a slow setting epoxy, as you won't be able to get to the end before it starts to set up. Glue the first piece of fabric on the wood, then apply a liberal amount of epoxy evenly over the fabric surface. Put the next piece of fabric on, add epoxy, fabric, until you reach all the way through the stack. After you attach the wood end piece, quickly put the stack in a clamp. As the cut is curved, a small clamp needs to be added across as well to prevent the joint from slipping apart. After the epoxy is thoroughly cured, cut off the excess fabric and sand it down smooth. From here on, the process follows pretty much exactly the same process as in my other knife making video. First, draw the handle shape onto the wood. Cut off the tang to an appropriate length. Drill out the hole for the tang. Mill and file a slot in a piece of brass to use as the bolster. Finally, glue it all together using more of the epoxy glue and allow it to set up overnight. Putting some masking tape on the front of the bolster will make it much easier to peel off any epoxy which seeps out. Once the glue is cured, shape the handle roughly using a bandsaw and continue refining using belt sanders, files and sandpaper. The micarta may look rough when shaping with power tools, but once you sand it by hand it should smooth out nicely. Finally, treat the handle in whichever way you find appropriate. You can use mineral oil, Danish oil or similar. For this knife I used a durable satin polyurethane varnish, as I did not want to darken the color of the wood pieces as oil usually does. And once it dries, you're done. Depending on the fabric you use for your micarta, the end result will have different textures. I used a fairly coarse cotton fabric, which also shows through in the final result. If you want a more homogeneous cross-section, I would recommend a thinner and tighter fabric when making the micarta. Thank you for watching. Please take the time to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time right here on Switch and Lever.